If you're a Nintendo fan, you've heard of Amiibos. Hey, even if you're not a Nintendo fan, you've probably at least seen one of these at a Walmart or GameStop. Amiibos have been around for over a decade now. 10 years of these figurines being around, and I've never looked into them. Sure, I've seen them, but what do they actually do? Well, that's exactly what I plan to find out today. What are Amiibos? How do they work, and do they still have a future? Let's start with that first question. Amiibos are little figures with Nintendo characters on them. You can scan them on a Nintendo console like the Switch or Wii U, and it can unlock different features in different games. In most cases, you just tap it and you're done, except for the 3DS, which had this weird little robot guy. Along with unlocking certain features, scanning an Amiibo can also give you special items, give you rewards, and even act as a memory card of sorts. This was one of the biggest selling points I remember from when these were first released. Using certain Amiibos, you can scan them into the game to gain an extra hand in fighting your friends in Smash for the Wii U. Over time, these stats would increase and you could bring them with you to help you, regardless of if it was your console or not.
If you're up to it.
I wish I had another Amiibo. A new challenger approaches. Pikachu.
Now, before we go on, let's just take a closer look at these Amiibos. Nintendo clearly put a ton of work into making these figures. In the first launch of 2014, there were 12 figures. Mario, Link, Samus, Kirby, Fox, Donkey Kong, Pikachu, Peach, Marth, Yoshi, Villager, and Wii Fit Trainer. They had the whole collection of characters and picked a yoga instructor. They also released the... Oh, wait a minute, no. That's not an Amiibo. That's the subscribe button. See, when it's red, it's awake and moves all over the place, but if you push it, it'll turn gray and go to sleep. So if you haven't done so already, that would be a great help. Alright, you get on out of here. You go back to bed now. Alright. Regardless of the figures that we look at, it's clear that a lot of planning went into these figures, ensuring that each is designed with the character in mind. See, Nintendo knew what they were doing with these. Not only were these figures able to do cool things within the games when you scanned them, but you could also display them around your room. Sure, some look better than others, but that goes for just about any figure collectible out there. Personally, I like the way the Splatoon Amiibos came out. They have a sort of flowy feel to them. It's hard to look at any of these and call them poorly designed. Of course, with designs like these, they weren't cheap. Back in 2014, these figures would cost you... Wait, that's it? $12.99? For Nintendo, or really any company, to put out figures that look like this and do things within different games, that's an incredible price point.
Or you can tap for items like cool new racing suits.
It should come as no surprise then that many sought after these things. Collectors and kids at the time knew that these were the item to get, which led to everyone fighting at different stores just to find a certain type. Stores were struggling to have enough in stock because everyone was trying to get their hands on them. It seems as though now that has slowed down, but there's always certain Amiibos released today that, if you don't get them when they first release, you won't get it for the original asking price anymore.
It's one of the most exciting things Nintendo is debuting at E3. Stay tuned for future announcements about Amiibo and the games that will use them.
During the early years of Amiibos, these figures were all anybody talked about. Until eventually, they started to take the back seat. They were still sold and being advertised, but just not as much as they were before. And I think the big reason for that was because of what they did in their games. Like I said earlier, Amiibos were created with the games in mind. When you scan the figure, you get an extra of some kind in the game. Now, what were these extras? Well, let's take a look at Super Mario Odyssey, what is considered to be one of the best Switch games that came out during this time. Scanning any of the Amiibos will give you some coins or hearts, which is, cool, but it's nothing groundbreaking. Now, if you scan the Mario Amiibo of any kind, you become invincible for 30 seconds. Okay. Peach will give you some extra hearts, and Bowser will show you where some purple coins are in a given area. Other Amiibos also give you some costumes, show you hints on where power moons might be, This is all stuff you can do in the game anyway. Alright, well, maybe Mario isn't the best example. What about Tears of the Kingdom, another one of Nintendo's greats? You get different items based on the characters. This is a big reason as to why I believe amiibos are starting to lose their ground. The unlockables the amiibos give in the games are neat, but they don't do much. The best way I could describe them is that they're physical forms of DLC for these games. You can still play every game from start to finish without the amiibos, and while collecting them and placing them in your room may seem cool at first, chances are that they're just collecting dust somewhere now. Today, you're able to find some amiibos that are still being sold, but a lot of the original ones are probably in a clearance rack now. Along with that, the main way to get some of these original releases, especially the rare ones, is through eBay. As for the future of Amiibo, it seems as though Nintendo is starting to realize that they're over. While Amiibo are still being released, they seem to be more focused on making newer and bigger games. It is possible that they stick around, but I don't see them being the main focus of Nintendo now or in the future. I'll be surprised if these amiibos stay around for another 3 or so years. The gimmick's worn off. Now, that's just what I think about them, but what about you? What do you think the future of these amiibos looks like? Let me know in the comments. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video, and remember to chase the chaos.